Hey guys, MCU Collector here with the new figure review video, and this is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Avengers Endgame, officially Wave 5, or Endgame itself, Wave 3, Thor Build-A-Figure, or Bro Thor, Thor Lebowski, whatever you want to call him, he is Thor. Much different Thor, or bigger Thor, but he is Thor. Anyway, we get right to it. So here we have the Avengers Endgame logo, Iron Patriot. Here we have the figure, and we see that we have the two different heads for the Build-A-Figure. So I will get to that review at the very end after reviewing all the figures from the Wave. We have an Avengers logo up there. You see Build-A-Figure Thor there on the side artwork. We see the Iron Patriot, and that on the side looks awesome because they use a very dark blue on the actual artwork there on the side. In the movie, it was a dark blue. The figure is super bright blue, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but having him in hand, he's pretty awesome. I just wish that it was a much darker blue actually on that figure, but it still looks pretty good. Here on the back of the package, we have a look at the artwork of the Iron Patriot there, and then we have a little bio, all the figures in the Wave that we need to build the Bro Thor figure, so pretty awesome. Let's get to it and look at that bio. Iron Patriot, proud and powerful, the Iron Patriot is heavily armed, high-tech, and ready for battle. So pretty awesome. Here let's see, we have the UPC for you guys if you guys need to look at. Now these guys are starting to hit Walmart and everything, but I got my set from Daming Toys. I will have a link in the video description below. I was able to order them and they shipped out to me right away, so very excited. Here we go. Let's open this thing up. Alright guys, here is the Iron Patriot figure out of the package, and he looks pretty darn good. I have some complaints about it, of course, and we'll get into that as we take a closer look at the figure and the articulation and things. But overall, it's pretty good. Again, I really wish it was a much darker blue. I think it would really stand out and be a better figure in my opinion. And then, of course, the whole thing between these two figures, of course, you know, Marvel Studios doesn't have the final designs ready in time for Hasbro to be able to produce the merchandise and these action figures. So that's how we ended up with this. And I mean, even though this figure was in the movie, you know, the teaser trailer did show this armor with those colors. That isn't even the real Mark 6. So there's just all kinds of things. But I'm glad that we got an accurate figure. It's weird that it was just in the very next wave. Usually it's something that comes along further down, or we get it in that, you know, those special premium price lines, like the 10th Marvel Studios the first 10 years, and then the 80th anniversary this year. So that's kind of the biggest thing. It's like, how did we get it in the very next wave? So that was just kind of odd. Here we have the two Thor Build-A-Figure heads. We're going to put these off to the side, and we'll take a look at that Build-A-Figure at the end. But let's get in for a closer look of Iron Patriot. Okay, here's an up-close look at the Iron Patriot figure. So, I do really like the red that's on this figure. The blue, again, I'm not the biggest fan because it's just so bright, and we see a lot of the marbleization and stuff coming from it. But, you know, overall it looks pretty good. But I like the red. One thing that's weird is it looks a little bit more shiny and metallic on this left arm, but on the right arm it looks a lot more flat. So I don't know if that's just my eyes deceiving me in the lighting. But it kind of looks like that, and the hands kind of have that shine to it. The legs definitely don't, definitely flat on the legs, so that's just kind of odd to me. I got a little bit of a paint chip right there, but otherwise paint apps across the board for the most part are pretty good. I have a little red streak right there, not that big of a deal. You see some of the red coming through in the arc reactor, not a big deal. Those things don't bother me so much. Looking at the red, we got a little bit of red there, and it seems like a lot less on that side. But this figure just has a lot of things going on with it. So you could just see crazy sculpting throughout the entirety of the figure. So we had kind of already seen that with the previous War Machine figure. But this Iron Patriot figure, there are some new parts. And again, massive sculpting when it comes to those new parts. So this upper torso, there's all kinds of things going on in this upper torso. So you could look. But what awesome details that they actually put into the sculpt. So there's some really nice things. As I get some of these lights in a little bit closer, we get really bright in there. It's just really awesome seeing it, and you know, in front. Looking at the back, there's a couple of things. So all these different weapons, they pop on and off. So you can I can show you guys. They're just peg holes there, and you would just port them in like so. Same there. Looking at the arms, that's the War Machine logo, the Air Force logo, right? And the arms, a little bit of silver paint chipping there. But look how massive these forearm pieces are. Just crazy. And the sculpt of it and everything. We've got, you know, some kind of blaster gun there. Got another weapon there. Just all over the place. Here on the legs we get these little missiles or rockets or something that come off the side, and you can actually remove those. And they just port right on in. Down to the legs. And then we get new feet on this guy. So they're not like regular feet looking things. I don't even know what you would call these, but it's a very different style boot. You know, and I think it's one of those things where this is such a bulky armor. I don't think Rhodes' feet went all the way down to the bottom anyway, kind of thing. So, pretty awesome. Again, paint apps, for the most part, all look pretty good. I don't have any real complaints. You know, there's going to be minor little things everywhere, but not a big deal. Now, let's zoom out and let's take a closer look at his accessories, the weapons, and then the articulation. We'll see how he compares to the War Machine figure and the old Iron Patriot figure. Okay, so we're going to look at the articulation first, and there's a lot to kind of break down when it comes to this because we have these additional weapons and things that he has with him. So these things can kind of move around because they are hinged, or well, I guess the the peg can just kind of swivel inside where they plug in. So we're just going to take these off. Actually, let me put that over here. So you can see that you could just kind of move the motion based on where they're pegged. So again, they could swivel, no problem. And this one, that is actually all it could do, is just swivel there. Now you can't really switch the placement between these rockets and the blasters because that peg is a different size, so you can't really do that. And then the same for these rocket ones, you're going to get the same swivel. I thought there was a separate hinge on there, but I was mistaken. So you can do all kinds of things like that and just kind of move them around any way you want. If you really wanted to, you could probably switch them and put them on the other side, and it'd probably look a little funky, but that is something that you could do if you really wanted to. But that's all those do. So we'll take those off and kind of get them out of the way so we can really kind of do the movements in this thing. So the head can get some weird motion in there. So you're not going to get a full swivel because of the way it's actually placed in there and the bulkiness of this collar piece. So you can kind of move it around, but you get a lot of pivot in there as well. You can get him to look down somewhat. That's straight up. That's down. That's actually all the way up. So they're not going to get much motion there. Getting the shoulders to go up, you can get them to go around. So these shoulder pieces here are kind of a rubbery material, and you can kind of work it around. I just peeled off some silver paint, it looks like, from something. So you can get it to move around, so you can move there. You can get a full swivel. It's kind of wonky though, the way that bends in when you do that, so just be aware of that. There is an upper bicep swivel in there, and then you get a single elbow, and pay attention to this motion because it's not a lot. So there's that, and then you go there. So I don't even know what that is. What is that? 20 degree? Hardly anything. 30 degree? I don't know what it is, but that's all you're going to get on the elbow. There is a swivel at the elbow as well though. And then the hands, they hinge, they swivel and they hinge, and mine has kind of a super loose hinge. Now it doesn't really move on its own, but you kind of move it and it wants to move down quite a bit. One thing, I'm looking at mine, it looks like some of the glue may be coming apart, but it's got this piece on the back of the hand that's actually just glued on there. It's not glued on very straight with mine, so you kind of want to look out for that with yours. So there is that. Now there is no waist swivel, there is no ab crunch, it's a diaphragm joint. So similar to the War Machine figure, we have that diaphragm joint. So we can pivot to the side that way, pivot to the other side that way. Going forward, like that's nothing. You're not getting any movement in that going forward. Going back, you get a very small amount. So let's do that again. Forward, back. Hardly anything at all, but you do get a swivel at that diaphragm joint. Legs can kick out very far forward, so that is good. Can kick back a little bit as well. Feet can go out to the side that much apart. There is that upper thigh cut there, so you get a swivel there at the thigh. You get a double, is that a double? I'm only getting one of the hinges, one of the joints in there. So there's a double jointed knee in there, but I can really only get one of them to do to hinge. There we go. So you have to really work this bottom joint to get that hinge to work, but you can get it, and then you get a double jointed knee. So it's there, but it definitely is a little bit harder to work around. No boot swivel, but you get a foot that hinges down like not, hinges up a little bit, and there is some ankle pivot in there, and you can see kind of the shape of the foot there. So down's not really going to happen. Up gets a little bit, and then you could work a crazy pivot if you work that heel portion over the boot. So kind of wonky, but it's there. That's the articulation. So here are the first original Iron Patriot figure, the Avengers Endgame, and then the Endgame War Machine that doesn't count. So you can see some of the portions and the pieces that are going to be reused. So it's basically the lower legs that were reused and this mid-torso piece that were reused. The upper arms look like they may have been reused. The shoulder pads were probably reused, and then the head is the same. So other than that, you're not getting a whole lot of things that are the same. Well, I guess that's a fair amount. The hands actually look to be the same. So basically, on the new figure, new upper torso, new lower forearms, new feet. The upper legs are similar, except it's kind of retooled to include that portion where you could peg in the missile rockets. So there is quite a bit that actually is different on the figure, and you can actually see that he does stand much taller, and that's going to be because of the new feet. So the original has like actual real feet. This has like robotic feet kind of thing. So that's the big difference there. But I think it's a huge improvement, and I do like it. Again, I wish it was a darker blue. Think about if it had this blue, how much nicer that would be with a dark blue with that red. This kind of had a magenta-ish color on the original one for Iron Man 3. I think if it had this blue with that red that's on there, that thing would be absolutely amazing. I would love it. So I didn't really show off the accessories too good earlier, so I just wanted to show it. There's a lot of sculpted detail that actually went into some of these blast effects. So we get a nice silver and red color on the blue metallic plastic. You can see that there's a lot of marbleization throughout it. It doesn't look bad to me, in my opinion. I don't mind it when it comes to something where it's like all metal looking kind of thing. A little bit of extra red paint there, not a big deal. That looks really, really good. And then the two are basically the same, but they are opposite, so they can peg on the different sides. But the sculpt-wise, they are basically the same. They're just opposite pieces. Now the same for these missile portions. They are the same, but opposite, of course. And then looking at it, again, it's all blue plastic. You can see a lot of marbleization throughout this as well. But then the inside was basically all just painted silver to represent all the missiles that are kind of in there. And that looks pretty good. Same for both sides. Okay guys, that's my review. You guys let me know what you think of the figure down in the comments below. Are you going to be picking it up, or are you passing on it? I don't think he's a must-have figure, but I do think it's a nice addition to the collection, especially if you didn't get this War Machine or you were upset because it wasn't film accurate. I think this would be a definite solid pickup. Again, would be better if blue, but still a solid figure nonetheless. You guys let me know what you guys think of the video. Hit that thumbs up button if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.